Hello everybody, welcome back to my Tribulations in the Mage devlog series. And for this devlog video, I'm going to be going over one of the new spells I've added to my game and kind of talk about some of the stuff I did with that. So, the way I was doing a lot of just thinking about how I wanted the game to go, and I'll talk a little bit more about this when I talk about more about level building. But I kind of wanted Tribulations and Mage to be, a game with a large play space, but essentially linear. So, with the way that the spells work, at least with the save game, let me actually go into the item interact. Let's see. Oh, that's it. Where I go into the parent. So let me just go to the water sphere spell real quick. Let's see. Like I said, I plan on having Tribulations of the Mage to be kind of a linear game, not like an open world game, but I wanted it to be somewhat big. So the way I have spells work, the way I have spells working is that obviously you have to pick them up in a certain order. So right now, since Wire Sphere is the last one, it kind of will unlock the other spells. I might change this, but like I said, I intended for these spells to be picked up in a certain order. So the way it is that, Magic Bolt would be the first, Earth Spike second, Ice Shard third, Fireball fourth, Firestorm fifth, Wild Spirit sixth, and then the other ultimate spells. So I'm fine with this system. I might change it depending on how it goes in the future. But like I said, with this way it makes it linear, and like I said, I plan on having this game to be more linear and not open world. So yeah, I just named the new spells, so let me actually go into them. So for the first one, we'll start off with Ice Spikes, or Ice Shards. And the purpose of Ice Shards is to slow the enemy. And I just do kind of like projectile damage. So let me go into Ice Shards. So like I said, the purpose of Ice Shard is to slow the enemies, so that you can't just run down the player, because like I said, the player is a mage, so the close combat isn't really like the forte. So this is like a crowd control. So in Ice Charge, there's 3 spikes that can hit an enemy, and then if it hits the enemy, it will obviously do damage, apply ice damage, so it does the chill. And then as I was experimenting, the way I found it best to work is that basically, when it hits the enemy, the shards go invisible. The ice impact emitter spawns on the enemy, and then it sets this variable called slow that's in the player, or not the player, that's in the enemy parent. As you can see right here. And what this slow does is that it actually affects the behavior tree and the behavior in there. So let's just start off with the setting behavior. So for this tick, I added it so that it will check if the AI is slowed. If the AI is slowed, set the blackboard bool, which is also called slow, to true, and then call the remove slow function. And the way the remove slow function or event works is that after 5 seconds, the AI becomes unslowed, which also works with the effects. Right now I just have it at 5 because that's how long the effect lasts as well, or that's how I have it set. So if this slow bool variable is true in the behavior tree, it will actually affect the movement. And the way I have movement is that instead of having this one set movement speed task, I made a new one while experimenting, which essentially is the same thing. But the way I have it works is that now there's a selector, and it will check if it's slowed. So if the AI is slowed, set the movement speed to something lower. If it's not, just keep it regular, and then just return the bool to the blackboard. And I just have this for all the movement speeds now, except for attacking, because it's already 0. And this is in all the behavior trees as well. And then for the other setting behaviors, this just has this is slow 1. Yeah, I have a 2, 3, 4, and 5 slow as well. Yeah, they all do the same thing. And then let's just go back into Ice Shards. So if it doesn't hit an enemy, it will just kind of explode on the wall. Let me just give an example of that right now. Let me go to the spell book, and then let me just set the spells real quick for future videos to save it. So if I were to do ice shards, as you saw, it kind of stuck in the wall and exploded like that. Now if I were to do it to an enemy, as you can see, it's kind of just walking towards me because it's slowed, and then once the effect disappears, it starts running again. And then let me just, yeah, as you see, it's slowed, and then it goes back to normal. Let me kind of show you on the behavior tree side. So, let's see, play, or, so as you can see, as I hit with the ice shards, it's now slowed, and that slowed task is playing with the slower movement speed, and now it's back to normal. Play it again, and it's now slowed again, as you can see, until the effect wears off, and now it's back to normal movement speed. And then, actually, the slow effect was probably the hardest thing that I had to. The slow effect was probably the hardest thing to implement because it was getting pretty wonky. But I was able to do it so that honestly it sets. So let me just reiterate. So when the ice shards hits an enemy, it will do damage and set a variable in the enemy called slow to true. And then what that does is that in the behavior tree, in its behavior setting, it will honestly check every second or every tick. You know, if it's slowed, if it is slowed, set that blackboard bool to true, and then call it remove slow, which after 5 seconds, make it unslow. As you saw there where it got hit, and then after a couple seconds the effect disappeared, and its movement speed was back to normal. And then that should be everything. So yeah, that's just the ice shards. I'll do another quick demonstration. I'll lock on, spell, slowed after a couple seconds, go back to normal. So obviously the player is able to now run around and then reposition itself so that, you know, if there's a faster enemy, it doesn't have to go into, you know, direct combat, allowing the player to reposition themselves and set up and do maybe new spells or just strategize and do combos. So that's the ice shard spell. I'll show this a quick what it looks like. 3 shards of ice, or yeah, 3 shards of ice. So that's the spell, and I hope you enjoyed.